Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Wolford, you're here today. I get a sense that you're speaking for the people of Shenandoah Valley. Do you speak for them here today?
No, sir. I think I'm here to provide a perspective that I've observed from the Valley.
Okay, so really you're speaking for yourself.
Yes, and I feel confident speaking for the Shenandoah Valley Network and our member organizations that work in the local community.
You haven't brought any surveys or data. There's been no votes on the issue.
I have brought with me 5 resolutions from local governments and a resolution from
I'm not
the Farm
talking about
Bureau
governments or government officials. I'm talking about the people. I assume hundreds, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people. There's been no survey.
Sir,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Has there been any survey? I mean, I'd love to have that data if you have it here today.
I'm confident that the elected officials...
No, I don't want to hear what you're confident about. I want to know the data. Do you have any data? Yes or no?
No, sir. No.
Okay, you have no data.
Done.
Okay, Ms. Mall, I can't see your name completely from here, so I apologize. Now, you indicate that there is inadequate data on safety. Now, again, we've established this is a technology that's been going on 60 years. It does come under the EPA. EPA in 2004 said it's perfectly safe. We don't have a, again, I've asked the question before. I've asked it many times in this committee room. Not one single person has been injured or killed from hydrofracking or horizontal drilling that I'm aware of. Nobody else. So it would seem to me that the burden is on you to tell us what is the technology where is the science that it is damaging the environment or is damaging or hurting people? Do you have that data here today?
Congressman, I do want to mention one case in Ohio where the state
found...
Well,
excuse me, I want to get plenty of questions in. I don't want anecdotal information.
No, this is a state investigation that found groundwater was contaminated due to 3 contributing factors, one of which was a frack job, which what they call went out of zone. There are other cases around the country where the state regulators have clearly found that oil and gas operations contaminated groundwater. We feel that they never asked the right questions to answer whether or not fracking was a contributing factor in those other cases.
Okay, have you brought the science on that, the study, the engineers evaluating? I mean, obviously, for instance, there's this video that's going around, or I guess it's a quasi-documentary about natural gas seeping into water supplies. We find out when you actually apply science to it that that is something that happens naturally in nature.
It does happen naturally in some cases, but state agencies have found that some methane in groundwater was caused by oil and gas operations
okay, I would love
in Colorado and in Pennsylvania.
Well, let me throw this to the rest of the panel. Can anyone here answer that? My understanding is there's not a single proven case. I'd love to hear your response.
It depends on whether you're talking about fracturing or you're talking about methane. Fracturing, there have been no cases indicating that the fracturing process has caused a problem of contamination to drinking water or groundwater. Methane contamination is something that can occur as a result of the structure of a well. The important factor is as you're casing and cementing the well in place and as you're drilling through formations that you have to isolate those zones. That's not a static process. Wells have to be maintained. Wells have to be carefully constructed. If there's a flaw in the steel, if there's a flaw in the cementing, that allows a pathway to occur that can bring methane into groundwater. It's equally certain that methane can be there naturally and can come from other types of formations. So the issue at hand is always trying to determine what's the source of the methane. If the source of the methane is from an oil and gas operator's well, he's responsible for fixing it, for stopping that from occurring. It does occur. It has been investigated by state regulators. They do occasionally find the problem, but in most of the cases that that have been publicized extensively, those have generally been from non-oil and gas well sources. Put it in this context, we have around 1 million oil and gas wells operating in the country right now. We're drilling about 20 to 35,000 a year. We have a few of these anecdotal cases that show up, and they all are investigated by the state regulators, and they make a determination as to what remedy has to be made to fix them.
Right. And are you aware, sir, of anyone who's been harmed or even fatally harmed as a result of leakage of methane?
I'm not aware of anyone that's been harmed by the leakage of methane associated with oil and gas operations. Now, obviously, methane is also natural gas, and natural
Right,
gas.
yeah, I mean, obviously, this does happen naturally. You know, we talk about oil spills in oceans, but the truth of that matter is that most of the oil that's in the ocean seeps through the ocean floor naturally. So we have to keep all of that in context. And lastly, Ms. Madsen, you indicate that wells are regulated on a state level. In my state, we have, at least in North Louisiana, we have 12 full-time regulators from DEQ who are monitoring what's going on in all these wells. So is it correct to say that this is an unregulated industry?
No, sir, it is not.
Okay.
And in fact, I would say that Louisiana does a wonderful job of regulating their industry. I have had the opportunity to meet with and talk with your Secretary of Natural Resources, and we think very similarly about the balance and the important balance between protecting our environment, our economy, and our energy resources.
And you are subject to federal laws in your state, as
Yes,
all
sir.
our states.
Just
Yes,
like
thank
you